The companion video, Filtering and Collapsing on Row and Column Fields, illustrates a number of simple filters you can apply just by checking the items you want to filter on. The current video illustrates other filtering possibilities. These are a little more advanced, but they can definitely be useful for business reports. These filters apply to fields in the rows area or the columns area, but I will illustrate them only for the rows. They can be applied to columns fields in the same way. I will use the customer's orders dataset you see here. This is a typical dataset where the filters described here are useful. Specifically, the company might like to see which of its customers are generating the most revenue, possibly by product category. I have already created a pivot table with sum of amount paid broken down by customer with product category in the filters area. You can get to the filters described here in two ways, either from the row labels dropdown or by right-clicking any customer. I will do the latter. The first option lets you clear any filter in place. Actually, filters aren't cumulative. If you create one filter and then create another filter on the same field, the first is cleared automatically to make way for the second. The next two options are straightforward. You can select any customers and then either show only these or hide only these. By the way, in these and other examples in this video, I will undo my choices in the usual Excel way with Ctrl-Z. The Label Filters option lets you base a filter on some condition involving the customer name. For example, I will find all customers with the word gourmet in their names. This requires the use of wildcard symbols. The Value Filters option lets you base a filter on a numeric value, in this case the sum of amount paid. I will find all customers with a total amount greater than $5,000. Note that when I now filter on a product category, such as meat poultry from the filters area, I see only customers who have spent more than $5,000 in that product category. The last option, Top 10, provides plenty of useful choices. By default, it shows the top 10 customers in terms of total amount paid. Of course, I can change this from 10 to 5 or any other number. I can also choose the top 10%. The results here are surprising. With close to 80 customers, you would probably expect to see 10% of them listed, or 7 or 8 customers. But this isn't how Excel interprets 10%. It lists enough high-paying customers to account for 10% of the total amount paid over all customers. In this case, the total revenue is a little over $1 million, and 10% of this is slightly over $100,000. So you see that the two best customers account for over $100,000 in sales. Actually, the first accounts for a little less than 10%, but between them, they account for well over 10%. If I then filter on the seafood category, I see that a single customer accounts for at least 10% of all revenues from seafood. I'll clear these filters and apply one more top 10. Now I will use the sum option. And I'll enter 400,000 in the second box. The results show that it takes these 7 customers to account for at least $400,000 in sales. If I then filter on beverages, all customers are listed. This is because even the entire group fails to account for $400,000 in beverage sales. Most users learn the easy filters discussed in the other filtering video, but my guess is that very few users know about the filters discussed here. As you have seen, they can be very useful tools for creating insightful pivot table reports.